Hello and welcome back to my OOTP 20 series here with the Toronto Blue Jays. So, two quick things to note. First, the uploads may be a little bit sporadic over the next 2 weeks or so, just because I've got a couple video projects I'm working on. And then second, the audio should sound a little bit better. Let me know in the comments if it does sound better or worse or the same. But I'm processing the audio a little bit differently. So, with that said, let's take a look quickly at our past season. Obviously, things did not end well. We lost to the Yankees, those dreaded Yankees. But it was a huge step forward. We were 90-73, one win off of our Pythagorean record, and that's like 23 games better than our previous season. So that is a huge, huge step forward. If we take a look just at the statistics overall, you can see that we were fourth in the American League in on-base plus slugging, and we were third in the league in terms of earned run average. So huge differences. We're still not great defensively. You can see we were ninth in the league. I'm not going to go too far into the individual stats just because I've already touched on that a couple times, but take a look if you want. Obviously, the big takeaways are Guerrero and Bichette had great seasons, and Cavan Biggio also played well. And then the one guy we're really disappointed about is Kai. He still has a couple years left on his contract. That last year is a player option, so I assume he's going to execute that unless he suddenly turns it around here. And then on the pitching side, everything was really fine. I'm a little bit worried about Kikuchi, just because that strikeout rate dipped quite a bit. And especially if you look at his pitching splits, it dipped over the course of the season, which is also not something I want to see. I mean, you can see in April, striking out a lot of guys, but by the end of the year, that just was not the case. So hopefully he can bounce back. Otherwise, I got to feel pretty confident about our rotation, and our bullpen was fine as well. As we take a look at salary arbitration and the free agents that are upcoming here, no huge names this year. Eduardo Rodriguez is going to be a free agent, so I'm going to offer him a qualifying offer, simply because if he accepted it, I'd be fine, paying him $15 million for one season. He's kind of a 2 to 3 win player, and I think that's worth $15 million to me. And if he declines, then we get a draft pick. So, either way, we kind of win there. And with Ryan Braun, I was thinking about potentially extending him. You can see he hits well against lefties, which it just does wonders considering some of the players we have that cannot hit lefties to save their life. However, he was looking for a multi-year deal. It was like $4 million a year for 2 years. And I'm just going to let him go to free agency, and maybe we end up re-signing him, but he's certainly not on the top of the priority list. And then in terms of minor league free agents, I did just want to touch on, I am going to be letting Ryan Barucki go. It's not as if he's our 26th guy. He is like our 33rd guy. He's not really even close to being in the majors. He hasn't been pitching well in the minors either, and I just like to let him have a shot somewhere else because I just don't think we're going to use him. So I'd be interested to see how he does once he leaves our organization, but again, I just don't really think he has much of a role to play. I also just wanted to take a look at some of our prospects. I feel like it's worth doing that every year or two. One guy I'm really taking a look at is Jordan Groshans. He's been hitting well in the minors, mostly the low minors. Kind of struggled a little bit at AA, but that potential contact rating is looking really good. I think he'll have a full season at AA this year, but maybe in 2023, I guess it would be. I'm thinking he could be a big arrival. And the heat turned on, so let me just turn that off. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and the heat is off. So, I would say otherwise with our prospects, it's a little bit hit or miss. Some guys like Dugas, I just don't think have been around long enough to really make a determination. Although, definitely like his defensive ratings and his offensive ratings, so he could be a solid second baseman for sure. Andy French, same thing. He was our first overall pick, but very young, only 18. And then some old names still hanging around. You can see Nate Pearson. This is a really good prospect, an actual really good prospect for the Blue Jays. And so far this sim, he hasn't really quite come around. You can see that he's got promising stuff and some good plus pitches, especially that slider and fastball. The stamina is a little bit questionable. He is an extreme fly ball pitcher, but he throws really hard. So it's someone who I'm definitely keeping an eye on. I assume that he would at least be a relief pitcher in the major leagues, if nothing else. But his command does seem to be getting better, at least, statistically. You can see he really struggled for, at least last year, where he was walking like 7 guys per 9 innings. And cut that all the way down to 4.5. He's still going to have to cut it down more from there. But, unfortunately, he kind of looks like an Alex Reyes to me. And a lot of the scouts have kind of agreed with that, where it's the control and it's a little bit too wild to really be a starting pitcher. Eric Pardino is another guy who the OSA ratings have really liked. He's been around for a while. I say a while, I mean, he's only 20, but you can see that he was around even back in 2018. I think he was someone that was in my Seattle Mariners series, I want to say. If we take a look at our player development page, you can see our minor league system is 17th out of 30 overall, and there have been some guys who have been surprises, like Jake Mangum. Someone actually said that they knew this guy, but yeah, his contact, speed, and outfield ratings are really looking good, and he had a solid year in AA last year, so I might play him in AAA this year, but people like Zach Granite, maybe Teoscar Hernandez better watch out because he's looking pretty good. And then two last guys who I'll touch on is Dylan Cruz. Still really good contact rating, I think, for the 6th overall pick. But, I mean, it's just too early to tell. You have no idea with these people. And then there is Jack, who is our first-round pick back in 2019. If you remember, he is a 2-win player. That control, not really looking like it's going to turn out on the pitching side. But on the hitting side, pretty good defensive ratings, pretty good offensive ratings. Maybe he finds a spot in the big leagues that way, and who knows? I mean, he could be a bullpen arm or something alongside that. So anyway, that's just kind of a quick look at our minor league system. On to the financial side of the team. So you can see we've got $21 million for free agents this upcoming year. So we're not going to be able to get, the best free agent, but we'll definitely be able to fill in some gaps. And then in other big financial news, as you can see, we have offered Bo Bichette a 10-year, $133 million extension. I mean, obviously with Bo Bichette, he had a 7-win season this year. Unlike Guerrero, I don't really see him as a 7-win player necessarily, but I think he can be a 3 to 4-win player, and I think he'll definitely be worth this contract, which would take him through, his age 33, 34 season. And on that note, if we do take a look at our salary page, you can see Chris Sale and their contracts are, kind of the biggest ones, which is fine. I mean, they're good players. With Kikuchi, he's got one more year at $13 million, and then after that, we can decide whether or not to keep him through arbitration. And as you can see, all the way down here is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., whose long-term deal really kicks in. But with that in mind, let's take a look at the owner goals. Overall, our owner is very happy, which is good, because last year he was very unhappy, so hopefully that means we're much less likely to be fired in the future. And I guess as well, I need to catch you guys up on the playoffs. So let's take a look at the playoff tree. And as you can see, unsurprisingly, it was the Cleveland Indians who ended up winning. I don't know if you guys remember, but yeah, they were a 111-win team. I think their Pythagorean record was 107 wins. If you take a look at their pitching staff, it was just absolutely dominant. And then on the hitting side, I mean, they've still got Lindor, they've still got Jose Ramirez, and a lot of 2 to 3 to 4 win players as well. So their roster is just stacked. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I think the only free agent they're losing is Kluber, which is, obviously a big pitcher, but I mean, they're keeping most of their team. So they're really a team to watch out for. And you can see those dreaded Yankees, they made it to the next round. They gave Cleveland a run for it, but they did not end up prevailing. Okay, I'm a little bit confused. I don't remember picking this guy off of waivers, but apparently we have claimed him off of waivers. That must have been something I did a while ago. I have no memory of this at all. No. I don't want to. I don't want this guy for $7.5 million. What was I thinking? Okay, let's... Is there anything we can do? I don't think there is anything we can do. I think this is just a mistake that I made. Okay, so we have signed Bo Bichette to a long-term extension. As you can see, next year it starts at $3.7 million, and then it eventually kicks up to $16.7 million. Certainly not as team-friendly as the Guerrero contract was, just because Guerrero is so good, but Bo Bichette, a very good player. Hopefully he'll continue to be that. So for the MVP award, it was Christian Yelich. I'm not sure if he won it last year, but he's certainly been very good in Milwaukee. And then in the American League, Mike Trout. Let's see how Mike Trout has been doing, actually. It seems like his power numbers have really increased the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean, this is unbelievable. He could turn out like this, so I'm certainly not saying it's wrong or anything, but gosh, an 85-win player through age 29. That is really incredible. And then it was Shohei Ohtani who won the AL Cy Young Award. Let's see how he has been doing hitting-wise. Yeah, you can see 2 really good pitching seasons in a row. Offensively, yeah, he's been not bad, showing a lot of power. And then in the National League, the Cy Young went to David Bednar. That is a very strange season. He gave up like no home runs, 5 home runs. I don't think he's going to repeat that, but that's pretty funny. Anyway, let's see if we won any Silver Slugger awards. So we did. Bo Bichette was the Silver Slugger at shortstop. Kind of funny that Andujar beat out Guerrero, though Andujar had a really, really good season. And did we win? Actually, I think we won the Rookie of the Year. Yeah, it was you. You was the Rookie of the Year. He won pretty handily. And then Josh Lester from the Red Sox. And let's take a look at the Gold Glovers. We did not have anyone, but definitely some familiar names with Kiermaier, Matt Chapman, Lindor as well. And Ohtani won it as the pitcher. That's kind of funny. So just like that, free agents have filed, and Eduardo Rodriguez has declined our qualifying offer, so he is a free agent. And if he signs with another team, then we get a draft pick, which is always nice. There's also some new international free agents. Ooh, look at this guy. This starting pitcher looks really solid. 28 years old. What kind of contract is he looking for? Quite a contract. Wait, is his nickname Socks? That's really funny. The other thing, too, is he throws left, like the rest of our pitching staff. So really should think about that. I think we want a righty, of course, if we have a really good pitcher that's just out on the market. I'm not going to say no, but... And we have 2 other free agents named U. In fact, a lot of repetitive last names. There's actually another U as well. Wow, look at this third baseman. He looks really, really solid. Look at that power. I know in real life, when it comes to international free agents, I think this is especially true of Japan's league, is that power doesn't really translate nearly as well as contact, but I don't really know if that's true in this game. I mean, I've had some really good international free agents when it comes to the power department. Seems to be pretty good at defense. He is only 26 years old as well. What kind of contract is he thinking about? I mean, I'm going to think about it. Obviously, because we signed that ridiculous reliever off of waivers, we have a lot less money now, I would assume. Yeah, only $13 million for free agents, so... I mean, that's my bad, but I got to live with that mistake that I made somehow. In fact, while I'm thinking of it, I want to see if anybody just wants to trade for this guy. Yeah, just a bunch of kind of multi-year overpaid guys, so I'd rather have a 1-year overpaid guy. So let's set some priorities here for free agency. I feel like we need a starting pitcher, not necessarily an ace or anything, but I like Triggs as a 6th guy. In fact, his ratings seem to have come down a little bit, so I don't even know if I like him as a 6th guy, but I certainly liked him that way last year. And there's even questions about Kikuchi as well. From an offensive standpoint, I don't know that we're going to move around too much. I mean, I always kind of feel like we need another bat. But, I think in general, what I'm thinking about for this season, potentially, is actually moving Vladimir Guerrero to the outfield. Because when I look at his defensive stats, they definitely do look better in the outfield, which is kind of my mistake for not necessarily noticing before. But what we could do is move Guerrero to right field. He's got a very strong arm. And then we would move Yu to center field, where he's, again, got very, very good ratings. And then we could move Zach Granite to left field, where he would be kind of a defensive standout. And Zach Granite would kind of hit against right-handed pitching, and then we could have someone like Lazaro maybe hit against lefties. Of course, I'd love to get Ryan Braun back to hit against those left-handed pitchers. Let's see what kind of contract he's looking for. So he is now looking for just a 1-year deal, so that's someone that I'll keep my eye on. Because he worked out very well for us. I mean, he was almost a 2-win player in like half a season. I mean, I'm pretty convinced that was because he got so many at-bats versus left-handed pitchers. For the rest of the free agents, though, you can see Arenado and Posey are there, Brandon Belt, Josh Bell. So some big names for sure. Let's take a look at the pitchers, and more specifically the starting pitchers, because that's really what we're looking for. And as I mentioned before, Corey Kluber is on that list, although I assume he's really looking for a pretty big contract, even at the age of 35, and he doesn't even want to play for Bob Melvin, so that ends that conversation. Then, of course, there is Eduardo Rodriguez, and that's just going to be too much of a contract, I think. And then there's Andrew Heaney, someone who we've also had before. Now, this is a very cheap deal, and I would really think about this. So I think those are the 2 moves I'm going to make. I'm going to go with Ryan Braun here, and I think $3 million is fine. I think that's a decent contract. And, same with Andrew Heaney. He's obviously not the guy who we traded for, but I think he would still be a at least capable pitcher. So I think 2 years at $3.6 million, that's fine with me. Anyway, let's see how these two offers turn out. I think ending things with like $6 million, I mean, we're already pretty close to kind of the limit that we can pay. So I feel like that's fine. Let's just see how this develops. Okay, so we have reached the Rule 5 draft. Thanks again for the people pointing out how to identify people that are eligible for the Rule 5 draft. They've got a hashtag kind of next to their name. So with that in mind, let's skip ahead to our pick in the Rule 5 draft and see if there's anyone we think is worth taking. Okay, so I've been looking around, and the long and short of it is I just don't think there's anyone quite worth taking. There are some intriguing people. What I find in the Rule 5 draft is that normally the OSA ratings are a lot lower than the Head Scout ratings, and normally the OSA ratings, only for this, seem to be kind of more accurate. There were some interesting relief pitchers, like this Tristan Beck. Really good strikeout numbers in AAA last year, but he's just never been even close to that in any other season. Anyway, I'm just going to complete the draft here. So we are here at December 31st. We have, I say, 2 new members of the Blue Jays. Really, it's like 2 returning members of the Blue Jays. 2 really cheap guys. I think there's no doubt that talent level we have not really improved, which is a little bit frustrating. I mean, I guess maybe we've improved in the sense that people are getting older and we're a young team, but we haven't really gone out and got anyone. We're a little caught up in not money troubles, but we're a little short on cash. So I'm just going to sim ahead to, I guess, spring training, and then we'll take a look at the preseason predictions. And that'll be all. Okay. So as promised, we are here at the beginning of spring training. Let's take a look at the preseason predictions. I'm interested to see where we're expected to be. And 83 and 79. So it looks like the Red Sox are going to be bad. That's kind of interesting. But it'll kind of be us and the Rays again. And of course, the dreaded Yankees. I'm going to keep saying that till we beat them. And if we look at the top hitters and top pitchers, am I missing Chris Sale here? Yeah, I don't see Chris Sale in the top pitchers. That's very strange. And I don't see Vlad in the top hitters. So I think we're getting a little gypped, guys. But anyway, of course, it'll be the actual season that matters. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys at the first year player draft.